So do you have any questions? Anybody want to ask? Yes.
Yeah, do you have any theories as to why creativity works so well for like people who are troubled, have gotten in trouble? That helps them, but also for funks and things
Yes.
like that. What is it? Why does creativity work?
Well, you know, I read a great work of a great researcher when I was in graduate school, Howard Gardner. We have 7 different intelligences. So when kids are in school and they're told, well, we're having a test and you have to study because this is the way we're going to assess the information. There's other ways to assess information. They could get up and they could do a gigantic poster or a mural or do a rap song. But too many teachers, they don't think outside of that box. And being creative is so uplifting in so many ways. I know I was the kid who opted for creative projects because I don't take tests well. I bombed my SATs. I was a horrible student, and it's a predictor of nothing. So I think something happens in your brain when you're given other options, whether the kid went to Montessori and they like to draw, or they find something mathematical. We're all different in how we learn. But creativity helps us really thrive, and it does something to our soul.
Is it that you form sort of a relationship with something that's outside of yours, like you form a relationship with another person? That's sort of a creative thing, but when you just make something,
I think so.
with yourself, it's almost like you're forming a relationship with sort of something outside of yourself.
Yeah, I think you also
Start getting
discover
out of your
something
head,
about
getting
yourself
out there.
in the process. I mean, like I wrote this book. I would go to the library every day, went to a hotel for a couple days, and I would get into the zone. I would put music on with no lyrics, and I would just go inside myself, and I would just write. And afterwards, I was like, what just happened? And I think there's something really amazing about any form of creativity. It's so healing. I was talking to Brie because I like to play guitar, and I don't put enough time into it, and it bothers me. But if I want to learn like a Led Zeppelin tune, at the end of that hour, I'm like, wow, I actually can do this.
You guys ever think about playing together?
We haven't.
No,
but
we were
she's
talking
asked
about
me.
it.
Yeah.
Sounds like that's something that should happen.
Yeah.
Thank you for your question. Yes.
Do you believe in things like affirmations and stuff to change the programming of your subconscious? If you grow up as a child, as many children do without parents, or they have problems, or whatever, then you don't realize you have problems. You get older, you say, I gotta take care of me because nobody else did when I was little.
Yeah.
And so how do you change that programming? How do you believe affirmations or meditations or things like that to change the subconscious where you're always voting for yourself first?
So Jake, who is in the book, Jake Fareed, he taught me a lot about yoga because I would go to yoga and I'd cry because I had a terrible childhood. And a lot of it was all this like hurt, and I was like, why am I crying? I'm a blabbling mess. People are gonna look at me, Get your act together, Janeane, what are you doing? And I realized I had so much negative self-talk all my life, and so I switched the narrative to more positive self-talk. And you're hard on yourself, and I kind of flipped the script and I said, I'm not gonna be nervous, and I'm gonna switch it around. I don't have to continue on those patterns. Like, I believe for people that were physically abused by their parents when they're younger, you don't have to be that person. You can change your narrative, you can change what happened to you and not repeat. Does that answer your question?
Well, you took the yoga, so do some sort of creative outlet or meditation.
Oh, meditation. And to me, meditation can be taking a long walk and listening to Anushka Shankar and processing things. My dad was really sick. He had stage 4 cancer. And for 4 months, I'd be on like high alert, but I'd walk constantly, whether it was Florida or here, and I would just walk and process, and it helped me so much. Yeah.
Like a person in their vulnerable younger days got abused physically, emotionally. In the later years, maybe they're attained like 50 years old, but when the trigger of similarity occurs to them again, he or she is likely to have some emotional physical suffer as the after effect of being suffered many years ago. So when this happens or trigger show up there in their life again, what's the best recommendation for them to do to stop the vicious cycle? Do you have an idea?
Go to a therapist. I mean it, because if you can't stop the cycle,
It repeats itself.
I'll be honest with you. My mom physically abused me. I have never laid a hand on my daughters. Never. I don't even get it. I don't know how you couldn't. Never.
If the person abused you, you cannot play game to a third person.
If you can't break the pattern of physical abuse and you're gonna do that, verbal, physical, whatever, you need to talk to somebody. But people don't realize they have to talk to somebody.
Means when the trigger show up in the later life,
Yes.
what's the best way to stop it more effectively so that they won't hurt physically, emotionally as the after effect of their previous bad experience? Would you understand?
When the trigger shows up, what's the best way not to act on it?
It's how to stop the vicious cycle, end the cycle.
You have to make a pact with yourself. I made a pact with myself.
What's the compact?
An agreement. I
Yeah.
am not gonna do these things.
Yeah.
You know? That's what you have to, and if you can't, you need to tell people who care about you, hey, I don't wanna be this person. I don't wanna have those patterns.
Repeat itself.
Right, and you have to share that so people can check in with you. But I do recommend therapy for anybody who's have any kind of emotional, physical, any kind of abuse. Yeah.
Because the abuse has the root in your psyche. It can show up when the similar circumstance
Right.
will appear in your later life.
I was on a plane and there was a child crying behind me, and I said to the mom, may I give your child a cookie? Sure. The next thing I know, the mom slaps the kid across the face and they're screaming. And it just killed me inside. I thought, I didn't hear that the kid did anything. I just heard whack. So, some people can't break the pattern. Yeah.
The kids might bring this scar in the later years because
They'll do it to their
traumatic.
kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know. Same thing with verbal abuse. You know.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Yes, miss.
How do you recommend the best way to accept loss and move on from loss?
You know, sometimes we can't accept loss. I'm not over the loss of my friend who passed away in 2010. There are people on book who've lost children, spouses. The best thing you can do, as someone said to me, is take good care of yourself, because we're never going to forget them. It's just a given. You're not going to forget. You're not going to stop loving this person. It's a huge hole in your heart. But you do have to take care of yourself. You have to take small steps, even though you might be sobbing. You have to take those steps to take care of yourself, because in the end, you know, you're going to go on. It might just take you a while.
Yeah, you have to live on it.
What?
You have to live on.
Yeah. And that's the thing that fascinated me. Why do people fall further into a funk?
Yeah.
When my friend passed away, she was on her 4th engagement. She had been drinking, and she took her life in New Orleans. Her fiance and mother were in the next room. Completely, I didn't understand it. I still don't. So there's a lot of unanswered questions, and I've never shared this at a book talk, but I'm being honest, some things you just don't get over. But for me, I needed something, and I wrote and processed, and I talked to her friends and family, and then I wanted to help other people. So, yeah. Kelly.
Yeah, you know, there's a thing called harm reduction, and I feel like that's a lot of what you do. It's a real harm reduction is if you can get the funk out of your life 1 hour a day.
Yep.
It can you can expand on that, because most people have such expectation. Like you're guitar playing, if I don't play the guitar today, then I'm a loser. But if you do harm reduction or dream expansion,
Yeah.
1 hour a day, or give yourself a breath 10 minutes a day, it can grow from there.
Right.
So I feel like that you're with your book, because you're not saying you just got to get the funk out and that's it, you're done.
Right.
You're done. And people have that expectation that, well, I was happy 3 days ago. Well, you know what? It's good that you were happy 3 days ago, because 3 days ago you strengthened yourself a little.
Yes.
And you can then go back to the remembering the 3 days ago how you felt, and then want
Yeah.
to feel that again.
We need a toolkit. I mean,
Yes.
put on the news.
Yeah.
Think about what it's like to be a teenager right now.
Right.
And a teenager that may not be in a sport, doesn't have an outlet, doesn't have a lot of friends. Their sport is hanging out on their phone. And that's not a life.
And their expectations, like we all try these expectations, if you wanna be a singer, Brie, you know, and you're young, we try to get people, oh, you can be famous, but how about if you can just play guitar?
Right.
You can just enjoy the guitar
Yeah.
for, you know, and write a song, you don't have to necessarily go anywhere with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Harm reduction, I feel like that's a good thing with your book. You're
Definitely.
reducing the harm that you're putting on yourself
Yeah.
by reading this book. Seriously,
and
by
you know-
reading this book, you actually are reducing the harm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you were talking about toxic people. You know, I remember being single in Boston, and over the course of a span of 1 month, I lost a long-term relationship that was not good for me anyway, and a job. And I've never felt more alone in my entire life. And I kept having these dreams. I was rocking out on a guitar, because I got one at 14. My dad gave me one. So I was like, what's with these dreams? I'm rocking out a guitar. So the next day, I signed up for guitar lessons for 9 years. And my girlfriends were like, where are you spending all your time? Who are you seeing? I'm like, guitar player. I'm playing my guitar, you know.